In the beginning of July, Searchmetrics.com released a report for 2013 on ranking factors that Google is using to rank your site in search. Now, the important thing to note when this report came out is that 8 of the top 10 ranking factors were all social media related. They involved Google +1 as the #1. After that, Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter tweets. Of course, backlinks are still in there, but the ranking factors for social media are at the top of the list and considered by Google to be the most important ranking factors for ranking your site in Google. Now, things have changed radically over the last 3 years, and now it's more important than ever. It's critical to your website's success to rank with social media. Well, how do you do that? Well, there's multiple ways, but you have to start optimizing beyond just putting social media sharing buttons on your site. As you see here on our site, we have the normal Facebook like button, tweet, Google +1, and Pinterest, all the #1 social media sites that Google uses to rank your site in search. Now, it's easy to just put these buttons on your site and share it, but what happens is when Facebook comes to your site, Twitter comes to your site, Google comes to your site, Pinterest comes to your site, they all just read your site according to their normal protocol. They take the images, the description, the titles from your site and use it, and you have no say-so whatsoever in what's being shared. The only way you can optimize this data and send the correct data to Google, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, etc. is to customize it. And to do that, we have to have the right tools, the right metadata tools that work behind the scenes to send the correct data to those entities to help you properly get your content categorized right to increase your rank in Google and Bing for the content you want to be ranked for, not for what they think you should be ranked for. It's important to note that, because they will look at your content and they will decide for you. You have to tell them instead if you want to rank for your search terms better. Okay, now we start off with Google. The big thing is Google wants to see structured data. Structured data will tell Google exactly what your site's about, and this is really important if you start implementing reviews. You have products, you have events, you have a local business, you have a restaurant. All these things are extremely important to be able to tell Google your exact data. Otherwise, they're just guessing. If you go through and see what Google sees on your site, you might find that they're not finding anything. Google wants to be able to create rich snippets here, as you see here on this page. These rich snippets will help Google decide what specific queries to show your site for. So if you have specific data, you can show that in Google, but if you're not telling Google what that data is, you're not going to show up for it. Well, how do we do this, and what does this data look like? Well, we start off with Google has authorship and author rank, and they rank your content according to this authorship and author rank. Well, if you're not involved in Google Plus and you don't have this authorship associated with your content and publisher status associated with your business or your main site, then you're not going to get this added to Google search, and you're not going to get the increased ranking that goes with it. Now, if we go to the Google Structured Data Testing Tool and put in one of our pages from WP Social, what we'll see is how we've used the SEO Booster 3.0 to increase our ranking factors and show Google the rich snippet structured data, microdata that they want to see. Now, here you'll see that I've established authorship for our site. And what that's done is put my picture here on the page, and if we go to our home page, we have publisher status established, and we'll have our icon for WP Social in here and said publisher instead of my face here on the picture. Now, you'll see here we have by Mike Johnson and more by Mike Johnson. Now, what this by Mike Johnson link here links to is my Google Plus profile page. And what this links to, more by Mike Johnson, it links to additional content, articles, products, whatever, that I have established authorship with on my site. And it doesn't have to just be one site. It can be across numerous sites that you've established authorship with. and have associated with your Google Plus profile account, and then somebody clicks on that in Google search, they now see nothing but all your content in Google search. This is a huge way to get dedicated search and traffic to your content. Now, if you don't do this, you're not going to get it. And if you're not doing it now, you're already behind. Now, if you look down through here, you see here we have authorship testing result, and it has my Google Plus profile, my name. We scroll down. If you don't have it, you can establish it here, verify authorship. And you can see here my author markup is all correct. And then we go down into publisher markup is also verified for this page, and it has my Google Plus page for wpsocial.com linked here. Now, if I go down in, you're going to see that all of this content here is now optimized via rich snippets. If you put your site in now and are not using this technology, you're going to see none of this. You might see a title, you might see meta description and a URL, and that'll be it. Now you see here we have our down here we have author status and publisher status, but it's for Facebook. We've now added Facebook authorship and publisher status to the SEO Booster as well, and you get all our tags, updates, our schema.org metadata information down here for that particular page. And we can do this for products, any other content we want. You see here, that's this page right here. This is how this page is defined in Google with the metadata here that we've added to it. And we've got established authorship as well. Now, there's much more to this. There's a lot more, but until you get into the actual meat of the settings, you don't get to do this. But what we've also done for Google and Google Plus is we've optimized exactly what we show our Google Plus followers, fans, whatever you want to call them. Now, we can actually customize each and every slice of content, the title, the description, and we've now added interactive posts by Google Plus to allow us to put actual call to action buttons inside of our shared content. So when somebody shares our content, they can now see these call to action buttons in the content as well. You can see here we've added custom content, buy links, etc. And the thing is, the URL here, it doesn't even have to come from the page that we shared. So we can really customize every single one of our Google Plus posts. We can customize exactly what is shown there. And it's huge because Google Plus content is also available on Google Plus search and in Google search itself. You will find Google Plus content in Google search as well. So this is extremely important to be able to customize this to exactly what you want people to see, not just the bland content here. Do I want the first paragraph here, the first 140 characters, 155 characters put into my shared content? And right now I don't have any image here, right? Do I want this image to be the image shared in Google for this? Do I want this image? Do I want this image? What image do I want? Well, I get to select it. It doesn't even have to be any of these pictures on the page. I can select a specific picture for shared content when I share it through Google Plus. So when somebody comes here to share my content, they get to see exactly what I want them to see. So all that can be customized. And even though most of the time in Google Plus they don't show your description, a lot of times in Google Plus shares, but content is still getting shared to Google and they're seeing it. Okay, well that's the big thing for Google. And we've gone over authorship, structured data, all these things that are important for local businesses, reviews, recipes, etc., etc. There's tons and tons of structured data that you've seen, music listings, video, etc., that can be shown in Google search. And you always wonder how those links are shown there. Well, it's shown through structured data. Now we go on and we now have the same thing going on for Facebook. In Facebook, we can customize exactly what's shared, exactly what's liked. We can customize even better than Google Plus through Open Graph technology. With the SEO Booster, we can customize each individual thing you see here. I wrote a custom post here, I have a custom picture, and you can see here I actually have a video linked through this share as well. Share the same content over here without video. So I can do anything I want to do and show exactly what I want to show in Facebook. It's awesome. And since I already told you, we're now doing Facebook authorship. And what Facebook authorship gives you is the ability to add follow and like buttons, and that'll appear for people that don't follow you already or not your fan for your Facebook fan page. So when they see your content, they're going to see a follow button so they can start following you if they like your shared content, or a like if it's content from your Facebook fan page. And because of this, you can connect your Facebook fan page to your blog effectively and get that connection that you couldn't get before through this Open Graph integration. We've highly optimized Open Graph, and it's really taken everything we do to the next level. We've also optimized this so Pinterest, which uses Open Graph, can use your content for rich pins. If you don't know what a rich pin is, type it in Google and see what a Pinterest rich pin is, and now we can do it with the SEO Booster 3.0. Now, on top of that, we've optimized for Twitter. Now, in Twitter, the normal 140 characters wasn't enough for us. We want people to see more. Well, how can we see more? You see these view summary links? If you wonder what that is, you click on that. I now can tell people in Twitter, I can give them more than 140 characters. I can give them exactly what I want them to see from my content. You see here, summary. I can show them the picture I want them to see. I can show them the content I want them to see. I can get them to go to my site. I can get them to go to my Twitter account, etc. I can also show them product details, like price, what type of product it is, exactly the content I want them to see. And we can do that through Twitter cards. This is a huge upgrade to what we've been able to do before. Now, if we go into the SEO Booster itself, you'll see here in the settings, this goes way beyond anything I've shown you. There's a huge amount of stuff happening in the background on this plugin. You can see here, you can enable image sitemaps now. Normally in like the WordPress SEO plugin, all-in-one SEO plugin, they use attachment sitemaps that don't create specific image sitemaps for Google. With the Google, with the WP Social SEO Booster, you can show Google exact image sitemaps that you want indexed and submit it to Google Webmaster Tools. Now, we've also added some incredible performance tools and optimized sites with the Html5 Boilerplate, which optimizes your site for speed, for mobile, image optimization, for cross-browser compatibility, all kinds of stuff, tons on top of that. So there is a huge amount of optimization through Html5 Boilerplate added to your htaccess file that's going to really amplify the speed and optimization of your site. And this is just the base settings page. Now we get into our Open Graph base settings, where we can really customize our homepage values, everything people see, how we categorize our site. And you can see here everything from articles, business, restaurants, place, books, profiles, website, music albums, songs, movies, TV shows, videos. We can customize all that and tell Facebook and Google about our site. In our Google settings, we get in and do the same exact thing. We have specific homepage values, and then our authorship markup, which we can show our publisher status, and then actual authorship is done through our user profiles, where you go into users in your profile and simply add your Google Plus profile links and your Facebook links for Facebook authorship. So all that's done there. And here you can see that we do the same thing with our Twitter cards. And between Facebook and Twitter, what we've done is added the ability for WooCommerce users, if you use WooCommerce on your site and have products on your site through WooCommerce, you can automatically create Twitter cards for those products, and you can automatically create Open Graph product cards or product data through WooCommerce now, automatically, without having to do anything. So this is a huge addition to our content. And you can see here we can choose a base Twitter card for our site, and then once you get into each post and page, you can select all the different Twitter cards there are. Summary, large image summary, photo, player for videos, product, and app Twitter cards. All these things are available to you, and you can do the same thing: homepage values, defaults, descriptions, etc., etc., etc. So there is a huge amount of optimizations here. Plus, if you want to add ratings to your site, you can pick the exact pages you want, how the placement is, add ratings. Now, if you want to take ratings and reviews to the next level, I suggest using the social review engine. We really have a lot of tools there and optimizations that take reviews and social media to the next level with that plugin. And in our social sharing options, we now have our integrated buttons for Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and StumbleUpon that you can customize to the exact size and places that you want them seen on your site. And you can also use shortcodes to insert them as well. So all that stuff can be done with our new social sharing buttons you see right here on our pages, for example. Now we go back into these settings, we also have added the Facebook recommendation bar. Now with the Facebook recommendation bar, you can set it up to where you scroll down a page, and as the page gets past a certain point, you have recommendations pop up. As you see here, it's slowly loading and will pop up. Of course, that's based on Facebook API, so how long it takes that to load is up to Facebook on a daily basis. But doesn't matter. We get back into our settings, and we see here you can decide which pages you want that on, where you want it, how long it takes for that to pop up, or if it's manual operation only, all the details there. Now then we have the Google interactive post settings. Remember, we talked about customizing and adding things like our buy button, call to action button, or learn more button. We can customize all that here in these settings, and we can do it on an individual post and page basis as well. You see here I can pre-fill what I want people to share. I can choose my button action from a huge amount of call to actions. All these are available call to action buttons you can use. You can choose exactly where you want it to be seen and where, and then you can actually use shortcodes to insert it wherever you want to insert it, or use this PHP code to integrate it anywhere else you want to in your templates. So that's just the base settings. There's just such a huge amount of features with the base settings that you can do so much and optimize for social media so well that it's really going to amplify your ranking, search results, and traffic. Now we've added, for people that do local SEO, we've added our local SEO tab. Now in the local SEO settings, what we have is the ability to really narrow down your local SEO and fine-tune your site and tell Google exactly about your site and get you listed in Google Maps, etc., Google Places, etc. Much better. And here you can add your coordinates, your address, and then you can create a geo sitemap and KML file for your business to get that search ranking that you couldn't necessarily get any other way. This way is now optimized into the SEO Booster 3.0, so you can optimize for local. We've also added into our Facebook's Open Graph settings all kinds of local business settings, so you can optimize for local in Facebook Open Graph as well. So now we go into our individual page and post settings. You can see here we can optimize in our post editor. We can go in and optimize with the SEO Booster all the same settings we already talked about, and you can select video, audio, whatever in Facebook Open Graph. You can customize the title, the description, the image, the content type, everything that you want people to see when they share your Facebook, share your content on Facebook. The same thing for Google Plus. We have Google Interactive button that we want to use, yes, and then we have the placement we want to place it. Then we have our pre-filled text, and then we have our button action that we've already set, our call to actions that we want to use. Everything is available right here. Each and every post and page that you want to optimize it on, you can for Google+. Same thing with our Twitter cards. As we already talked about, you can customize this on a post and page basis. All the same content attributes, your video player widths, your apps, your iPhone apps, your iPad apps, your Android apps, iPad apps. You can customize all that right here in the SEO Booster page settings. Reviews, products, for rich snippets. All this is structured data. Reviews, structured data. Product, structured data. Business, structured data. People, structured data. Recipes, software, videos and video listings in Google, events. All this can be added and customized via the settings inside SEO Booster 3.0. And you can see this video has been extremely long, but there's that many features and huge benefits to using the SEO Booster 3.0. So take the time now, optimize each and every site you have, and get started right now.